Hi, my name's Pierce Brosnan. In 1964, I left Ireland. It was August 12th, 1964. And I just found out recently, somebody sent me this copy of The Making of Goldfinger, and I found out that on August 12th, 1964, Ian Fleming passed away. It's just a coincidence, a small coincidence, but one nevertheless. Well, in 1964, I went to live in London, Putney, and the first film I ever saw there was Goldfinger. I had been brought up at that time in life on a diet of old Mother Riley films and Norman Wisdom films. I'm sure you've all seen them. But to see this spectacular film, Goldfinger, was incredible, amazing. I can't say it changed my life, but it was an event. So here we are now.
Foreplay.
Name's Bond. James Bond.
Hello, the name's Frostrup, Mariella Frostrup. Doesn't really work, does it? By the time I've spluttered out half those syllables, some chap called Willie Galore will have tossed his bowler hat and decapitated me. So I think I better stick to my night job, which is to introduce this European premiere of Goldeneye in aid of the Prince's Trust charity. The 17th Bond film, and after an absence of 6 years, and with the presence of a new 007, Pierce Brosnan, the most anticipated Bond ever. You can certainly tell from the size of this crowd outside the Odeon Leicester Square. Prince Charles will be here a bit later on, and we'll be following all the fun and frocks. But first, I thought maybe I'd try to get into the persona of the durable 007.
Trust me.
James Bond flying through the window like Peter Pan. And like Peter Pan, he's never grown up, or at least old. He was born in the mind of Ian Fleming 43 years ago in Casino Royale, and first hit the cinema screen 33 years ago looking for Dr. No. Bond villains have always been attached to Spectre or some other Russian-based organization, so it was extraordinarily thoughtless of the Ruskies to end the Cold War, and as a result, the premise for most Bond plots. Fortunately for the film, there are still some maverick Bolsheviks with high-powered and dangerous computer programs trying to take over the world. And fortunately for us, there's still one man prepared to stand in their way.
This is your last chance. Come out with your hearts above you. Wait! You can't win.
Damn these machines, they just don't like me. Unlike Isabella Scorupco, the computer genius and love interest in Goldeneye. These confounded machines, barely thought of when Fleming first thought of Bond, are entirely central to the high-tech, state-of-the-art plot in which Goldeneye is a smart card which controls 2 rogue space vehicles, deliberately left out of bilateral disarmament agreements which... oh, it's just too complicated. With this processing power at my fingertips, I ought to be able to get Martin Campbell to explain.
I directed it, but I have no idea what the plot... Yes, I did really. No, the plot is, well, it's not quite world domination, but actually what it's about is the theft of a nuclear weapon. An EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse weapon, actually exists. You fire it up in the atmosphere and everything electrical cuts dead. If you're on life support, tough luck. If you're on the telephone, you get cut off. I mean, anything electrical, it cuts dead. And the story revolves around the theft of one of these weapons in Russia. And Bond is sent out by M to investigate what on earth's going on. And it leads him across to the Caribbean and finally into Cuba, where the climax of the whole thing takes place.
So all the usual glamorous Bond sets. Did you have any qualms about taking on such an institution?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it was the first qualm was I thought the whole series needed reviving, so I was worried about whether we could do that or not, and everybody seemed to be worried about that. You know, as to whether we could drag it into the 90s, as everybody kept asking. And secondly, you know, it's kind of, given the previous directors and so forth, it's kind of intimidating to think, you know, the people that have actually directed it, right back from Lewis Gilbert and Terence Young and so forth. Finally, you just say, oh, sod it, I'll do it the way I think it's, the way it should be directed, and that's that.
There's a heavy concentration of British actors in the film, including Robbie Coltrane and Sean Bean. Why was that?
Well, I mean, yes, we did have, you know, the major stars in the film, of course, are British. Well, Pierce is Irish, but I mean...
British Isles.
British Isles, I think is what it's about. But we have a very sort of large cross-section. I mean, Famke Janssen is Dutch. You've got Isabella, who's Polish. You've got Godfrey John, who's German. Joe Don Baker, who's American. So the whole thing stretches right across the spectrum, I guess, but certainly the leads are British. And there's also particularly Robbie Coltrane, who is terrific as, you know, is not a big part, but he was very, I was thrilled when he would actually do it. But it's a very funny scene with Pierce when, and he's an old enemy of Pierce's from the Cold War days, and I think he's smashing in it.
So, Mr. Bond, what is it that brings you to my neighborhood? Hmm? Still working for MI6, or have you decided to join the 21st century? I hear the new M is a lady.
I want you to do me a favor.
He wants me to do him a favor. My knee aches every single day. Twice as bad when it is cold. You any idea how long the winter lasts in this country? Huh? Come on, Dmitri.
Well, it depends.
Silence!
For an ex-KGB agent, you surprised me, Valentine. I'm sure someone of your stature must have realized the skill was not to hit your knee, but to miss the rest of you.
So why did you not kill me?
Call it professional courtesy.
I should extend you the same courtesy.
Kiros funeral parlor, 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Blast! I never would have missed if I'd been using my Walter PPK, James Bond's traditional friend. Another friend of Bond's, although you wouldn't have thought so judging by that clip, is Valentin Zukovsky, played by Robbie Coltrane.
This is Valentin's office where he runs his totally corrupt empire, and he's basically part of that new breed of Russian bandit capitalist gangsters who abound in Russia at the moment. And what happens is basically that Bond needs a favor done in Russia and knows that Valentin can fix things for him. Valentin has a limp because he has a bullet in his leg that Bond gave him. And I do get to say the immortal line when the gun comes up. Over PPK. 7.65 millimeters. I only know 3 men who carry one of these, and I believe I have killed 2 of them. You know, I mean, I would pay to say a line like that. In fact, I think I did.
Okay, but what was his first memory of the Bond phenomena? Ready?
When the first Bond picture came out, I was like 12, 13. It was like the same year as the first Beatles album. So on a personal level, it's because I was just becoming a man, you know. I was just at that stage where you're growing up and I suppose unconsciously looking for role models. And I always loved the fact that he knew what to do. You know, when you're an adolescent, you're always a bit shambly and unconfident. And I thought, oh, wonderful to wear a tux and go into a casino and people get out of the way and you sat down and 2,000 francs on the red 16, please. Hello. And you know, a fantasy, of course. Of course, my life has been exactly like that, funnily enough. That was the funny coincidence. I'm just never at that Aston Martin, mate.
There. All it needed was a little application, lubrication, and of course the trusty PPK. This is the place the chosen few come to when they've scored 0-0. It's not the IQ required to take on 300 Russian soldiers single-handedly, or indeed the mark in the civil service exam that gets you posted to MI5. 00 is the code that means that you've had to kill in cold blood for your country, an honour also accorded Sean Bean.
My character's 006, and I play a sort of secret agent that accompanies Bond on certain missions. And they've got a good relationship, good teamwork, and both highly trained, very professional about the job they do. And very close in that sense, you know, very similar in a way.
Ни одного вздоха. Где ваши?
I'm alone.
Aren't we all? You're late, 007.
I had to stop in the bathroom.
Ready to save the world again?
After you, 006.
James? For England.
For England, Alec.
I wanted it stirred, not shaken. The whole world seems to have gone Bond crazy. His taste for alcohol over the years has been quite eclectic. His favourites are Dom Perignon 46, Taittinger Blanc de Blanc, Mouton Rothschild 53, Old Grandad, Jack Daniels, I.W. Harper's, and of course, 10-year-old Calvados. After that lot, it's amazing he can still shoot straight. His favourite women, on the other hand, have been almost anyone he can get his hands on.
I have a feeling this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you.
out your vocabulary.
A keen linguist, and his other hobby was trouble.
I need 007.
I'm flattered.
Let's just wing it, shall we?
My dear fellow, your reputation precedes you.
Hope I can live up to your high standard.
Careful. Guns upset me.
This is the price of failure, Mr. Bondman.
Look, Mr. Bond, you disappoint. Time to leave. Shake. Not stand.
What the?
Well, that's a neat trick.
Place your bets, please.
33 black. Welcome back. Bond wouldn't be Bond if he didn't enjoy the occasional flutter. Not for him, a trip to the corner store and a Saturday night watching Anthea. He likes the real thing, preferably Chemin de Fer, the sort of game that wins you intriguing adversaries. In this movie, the femme fatale, Famke Janssen. His whole life consists of calculating the odds. And up until 1988, we, the public, could calculate that there'd be a Bond movie released once every 2 years. And then the supply stopped. Perhaps the producers, Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, can provide the answer. And perhaps, ooh, 33 black.
Well, I don't think any of us wanted to stop making Bond films on the 2-year cycle, but unfortunately, MGM-UA was taken over by Peretti, and it led to its eventual bankruptcy. And we were just stuck in court for 3 or 4 years.
Nasty.
Absolutely. It was a horrible experience. Anyway, the bank took over eventually and put in new management, and we could make a new film.
But do you think that that gap did make it easier to introduce some changes?
I think it's probably worked to an advantage in a way. It gave us a sort of opportunity to reintroduce a new Bond and to sort of take stock of the world. After all, the things that had happened in those 6 years were enormous. The Berlin Wall had come down. The USSR had broken up into its constituent parts. So the world had changed a great deal. So it gave us a sort of a new world for Bond to start in.
Barbara, there's a much more 21st century feel, and Bond's also undergone a bit of a makeover, which hopefully will please the PC lobby. Did you feel that those ingredients were essential for the success of the film?
I think so. I mean, I think people have traditionally liked certain elements of Bond, but, you know, a lot has changed, as Michael said, in the last decade, and it's important that Bond remains contemporary.
He seems to have been given a bit more of a PC edge, or at least there are women around him reminding him.
Well, women are giving him a tough time, which I think at times he deserves, and he handles it very well.
Michael, was Pierce your first choice, and what new dimension do you think he's brought to Bond?
We considered Pierce back in 1986, but he couldn't get out of his commitment to Remington Steele. So obviously, when Tim withdrew, Pierce was at the top of the list when we were looking around for a new Bond. We did have a look to see if any new faces had come up, but we never offered the part to anyone else. He was always our first choice.
Barbara, it's very much a British film. Was that your intention? I mean, you even got an ex-BBC director in Martin Campbell. Wasn't that a bit risky?
No, I mean, Bond is British, and I think it was very important to us that we make the film in the UK. We feel that Britain has the best technicians, the best craftsmen, so we've always wanted to make films here. And we're very proud of the fact that it's a big, important British film.
Cars have always been important to our favourite secret agent, but in Goldeneye, his traditional Aston Martin is under threat from this sexy little BMW. And as if that weren't revolutionary enough, the Bond girls frequently put him in his place, and M is played by a woman.
I want you to find Goldeneye, find who took it, what they plan to do with it, and stop it. And if you should come across Ourumov, guilty or not, I don't want you running off on some kind of vendetta. Avenging Alec Trevelyan will not bring him back.
You didn't get him killed.
Neither did you. Don't make it personal.
Never.
Bond? Come back alive.
Dame Judy finds it quite natural for M to be a woman. After all, Stella Rimington, the current head of the Secret Service, is exactly that.
There are captains of industry who are, if there's such a thing as a captain, can be a woman, who are very, very highly intelligent. People are always a bit suspicious, aren't they, of a very intelligent woman. I think that's a bit insulting, but I think that, I think that it kind of slots, the way it's written, it slots into place quite well.
Oh, I could get quite used to driving this little number around town. But Pierce and I have actually got more in common than just this car. Like him, I was brought up in Ireland, and I fell in love with Bond at an early age. Unlike him, I didn't go on to play my hero, so I wanted to know how he felt when he got offered the part.
I was relieved that it was back in my life, I guess. I was relieved that I had the opportunity to do the damn thing, because it was like unfinished business from '86. I certainly wasn't waiting in the wings to do it. I hadn't been waiting since '86 for this job to come round again. But when Timothy, left, said, "I've had enough," I thought, well, here we go again. So the opinion poll started, and it was good. But when the phone rang and they said, "All right, well, congratulations, Mr. Bond. My agent said this," I thought, all right, well, let's just do it. But I knew it was going to be bloody hard work, and it was.
And also, the whole sort of press thing and the whole media thing that comes with it must have been a little bit awesome at the time, or were you welcoming it? Were you dying for it?
Oh, no, I wasn't dying for it. I'm still not dying for it. It just comes with the job. This is a franchise which has been going for 32 years, and part of the reason it's been such a success is the hoopla, is the circus, is what the Broccoli's have made of this. What a showman he has been in his life, Cubby. And now the mantle is going on to his daughter.
The 90s Bond seems more human, less of a caricature. Was that your influence?
I suppose it's my influence, as I'm the guy that played the part. Martin Campbell and I didn't sit down and talk about let's making this man more human. We talked about the danger of the man. The essence of the man is danger. But I think that is veneered in something which is charming and accessible, and I try to make him accessible. I think when you look at the films of Mel Gibson and Harrison Ford and all these action heroes there now, there is a thread through them that they are accessible, that there's something there, that they are big action heroes, but you have to be human. And for me, it was just what makes this guy tick, what's the chink in his armor. And you can't play a hero, you have to play the man. And what is this? And I had to forget everything that had gone before, the Connerys, the Roger Moores, and say, this is a play, this is a film about this man who works for the government, who is an agent, who goes into areas to seek and destroy, rescue what's at stake. And starting from that simple premise, then you hopefully find a character.
What about the actual action? I know you've done a little bit, but this was serious. For example, the scene at the beginning, I presume that wasn't you bungee jumping off the dam.
Yes, it was.
Come on.
Yes, it was. It was me, 185 feet. I did the 5 feet. Just like little, whoop.
What, you did the last 5 feet?
Yeah. Wayne Michaels did that. Wayne Michaels was my stunt double on this movie. And that is a spectacular stunt, amazing stunt. Every time I see it, it still goes,
How did you feel the first time you had to say the name Bond, James Bond?
Oh, God. How did I feel? Well, to say, you know, the name's Bond, James Bond, it's one of those lines that you kind of, you do it when you're brushing your teeth, you know, you're going, your name's Bond, James Bond. It's very difficult, it's a very messy thing to do when you've got a mouthful of toothpaste, or you're driving the car, you know, and you just suddenly think, oh, Jesus, I've got to do this part. I've got to do this line, and you're kind of driving along and look in the mirror. So it gets to be silly like that, and then you try not to think about it, really. And you can't, you have to, from an acting point of view, you have to put it in the context of the scene. You have to do the scene. What is the scene about? What does this scene mean? What is this guy after? And then somebody says, what's your name? And you just say the guy's name. You know also that you have the audience are out there waiting, going,
Let's face it, playing Bond can be the kiss of death for an actor. I mean, Connery had to ban all mention of 007 at one stage in order to kind of pursue his career and move on. Can you see a time when you'll have to do that?
yes. Oh, that's already there. I feel it already. I mean, you feel that. I mean, I've just started and I feel it already. Oh, absolutely. It's a tough one, but I knew it going in. I mean, I knew that going in. That was, if we got this right, going in, you want to get it right. You have a responsibility to it, which you can't take lightly. Otherwise, the door will come around and smack you in the face. So if you go in there to do the job and to really get the job done and make the picture work, what you're going for is a successful film. And then what you deal with afterwards is on a day-to-day basis.
But
and
your
a contract for 2 more pictures.
Your director says it may last another 30 years.
Oh, no, I'm not. I've got 2 more pictures. You're going to be, hopefully Brosnan will have the intelligence to get out when the going is good.
And just finally, I wondered how you're enjoying this new sort of state of superstardom. There's a rumour that you're moving to Ireland, but that's hardly the behaviour we expect from Bond. Some little country cottage in the West Coast.
Well, I think it's very appropriate. I'm thinking about going back to Ireland. I've been thinking about going back to Ireland for years. Life really, you know, will change. The quality of scripts have gone up, which is very good, which any actor works and strives for that. Try and pay the mortgage off back in Malibu. I've got a big old nut to crack there. And, you know, I'm setting up a company with MGM UA to try and produce and direct my own work. Has to be done, because there might come a time when I want to give this up, or it wants to give me up, and I'd like to be able to have a career afterwards.
Well, meanwhile, we've really enjoyed seeing you as Bond.
All right,
and good luck with the next 2.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Pierce.
Bond. Only Bond.
He's going to derail us.
Full speed! Jump! Full speed! Ram him!
Guard it with your life. It's not even off the production line yet. And you stay right where you are, because after the break, we'll be talking to the stars. See you in a couple of minutes. Hello, and welcome back to the European premiere of Goldeneye. As you know, the cinema is currently celebrating its centenary, and incredibly, the Bond films have been running for a third of its history, 33.5 years to be precise, the longest-running series in the history of cinema. 5 men have played Bond, and now it's Pierce Brosnan's turn. There have been 33 leading ladies in 17 films, and countless villains and accomplices, to whose number we can now add Alan Cumming. Boris Grishenko.
Very good.
Alan Cumming in a Bond movie.
I know, it's hilarious, isn't it?
I mean, how did it come about?
Oh, just sort of, you know, I went up for this job and and then I got it. It's quite easy, really.
You play a bit of a computer nerd, don't you?
Yeah.
Are you, in real life?
No, I'm just, I can get into my word processor, but apart from that, I'm really dimble. So, you know, it's not my thing at all.
Now, you describe yourself, I believe, as a Bond boy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I just think we should be less sexist about this whole affair. Bond women, and I'm making up for all the Bond girls for years, so I'm a Bond boy. And I had shorts on for ages, but you don't really see them.
Lovely legs, by the way.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan Cummings.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Give me the codes, Natalia! Give them to me!
Can bars break your codes?
Possibly.
Possibly. We have to destroy the transmitter.
By the way, I'm fine, thank you very much.
And now the exotic villainess from Goldeneye, Famke Janssen, or as she's known in the movie, Xenia Onatop. No innuendo there, is there, Famke?
No, not at all. It's very subtle.
Now, Famke, you majored in writing and literature at Columbia. You studied stagecraft. You studied acting. Aren't you a little bit overqualified for a Bond girl?
I don't know. I think that's the fun thing about the 90s. I think we can be overqualified for these jobs and, you know, hopefully make something more interesting out of it.
Were you a little bit worried about taking on the part?
Sure I was. I was very aware of the stigma of being, sorry, of appearing in a... something. No, I was just very aware of the stigma of appearing in a Bond film as a woman, and it made me work harder. So in the end, I think, and certainly it can open certain avenues for people, and it gets your name out there, and a lot of people obviously see this movie, so I think, you know, those are certainly reasons to take it.
Did you enjoy playing a villainess rather than a good girl?
I loved it. I really had such a great time playing this character. She's so unlike what I am in life, and she really enjoys things so much, and she enjoys the killing and all these bizarre things. It's the most unusual character I've ever played, certainly.
She's very much larger than life. I mean, do you think you'll have frightened off future boyfriends with that thigh crushing?
I certainly think, yeah. I'm not going to do very well in the dating department, you know?
And just finally, what do you make of our new Bond?
I think he's amazing. You know, he looks great in the tuxedo, he looks great in the cars, he looks great with the women, he looks great gambling, everything. He's just really born to play James Bond, in my opinion.
Now, you didn't actually get to lure him into a love scene in the conventional sense of the word, did you?
No, somewhat love scene, but it was more sort of a love fight animal scene.
Would you like to have got a little bit closer?
No, I actually liked it the way it was, and I would have been very disappointed if, you know, my character had been written to really fall for James Bond all of a sudden. I love the fact that she doesn't.
Absolutely. We would have all been disappointed if you'd gone down that road.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thank you very much, Famke. Have a great evening. Bye.
I need the gun, Commander.
That depends on your definition of safe sex. That's close enough.
Not for what I human mind.
Now, what do the following people have in common? Nancy Sinatra, Lanny Hall, Carly Simon, Paul and Linda McCartney, Sheena Easton, Shirley Bassey, Rita Coolidge, and Tina Turner. Yes, they've all sung title songs in Bond movies, and most of them distinctly memorable. But it's Irish night tonight because, as well as Pierce and myself, two fellow countrymen, Bono and The Edge, have written the title song for Goldeneye, performed by Tina Turner. How did you feel about being offered the title song in a Bond movie?
I was extremely excited, and even more so after the final song came along and it was Bono and Edge, and everything just started looking like a picture's coming here. This is beginning to feel really good.
So when they first asked you, you didn't know whose song or what song it was going to be?
No, because there were many songwriters. We received about 10 songs, actually, for me to listen to and approve, actually. So, because if the song hadn't been right, I wouldn't have taken it.
And was the one written by Bono and the Edge, I mean, the Goldeneye theme song, was that your outright favorite, or were you torn a little bit?
No, that was it, because it sounded right. It sounded like, let's say, a theme for a movie. I mean, some of the songs were just a good song, but it wasn't appropriate for a movie, I thought, you know, and I just didn't want to take it otherwise.
With me now, a man you'll all recognize as the inimitable Q. Now, you've been in almost every Bond movie, and you're the only person who's lasted this long. Why is it? Why does Q have this incredible enduring quality?
Well, I suppose it's the gadgets, really, isn't it?
Absolutely not, it's you.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you to say so, yes. I don't know, I'm just very lucky, you see. I think the main thing is that Guy Hamilton, in the sort of second one, made me antagonistic to Bond. And I think, you know, I'm the only person who tells him off and criticizes him. And I think, you know, I mean, this great character Bond, and here is Q, who doesn't give a damn for him, you know, just thinks he's rather a tiresome man.
Now, in Goldeneye, you've got this brand new state-of-the-art laboratory.
I know, it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, what did you think of it?
Oh, it's great. Great fun. I mean, it really was. And, of course, Martin Campbell is the most wonderful director. You know, although it was sort of a serious, we did have a lot of fun on it.
And over the years, what would you say your favorite gadget has been?
I haven't got a favorite. I loathe gadgets. They always go wrong with me.
But they seem to work for Bond.
Oh, they work for Bond, all right, yeah, but they never worked for me.
How did you feel, Isabella, about landing the part of a Bond girl? Because there's an awful lot of connotations that go with that, aren't there?
Right, it is. I have to say, I was probably the most grateful one being involved in everything because of my background. Born in Poland, I live in Sweden, and just being picked up among all Swedish actresses and just ended up being a part of a legend. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Did your Polish upbringing and background make it easier for you to develop this Russian accent, or are they just completely different?
Maybe, yes, maybe it did. I had a Russian nanny when I was a little girl, and she spoke Polish with a Russian accent, so I kind of very often made fun of her, and I just loved it. So I think it's probably easiest for me to do it because I have all those. It's almost the same language, Polish and Russian, but it's kind of a little bit softer, so it's probably easiest for me to do them for anyone else in the movie, probably.
Well, tonight you look like an absolutely stunning Bond girl and to be proud of. But during the movie, for most of it, all you get to wear is this fluffy old cardigan.
I know.
Were you a bit disappointed?
You bet. And after 6 months in the same skirt, I was just absolutely, I thought. But it's great. We did not wash it, I promise you. But it's good. When I see the movie now, I think it's great because I think it makes her a little bit stronger, believable, and much more real, because people can relate to her and identify with at least just one character in the movie. I think it's very, very, very good. When I see it now, it's okay, but I was kind of bored of it. I wanted to have those high heels.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
But I'm celebrating the Bond tour right now, so.
Well, you look fantastic tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, so do you. Thank you very much.
He was a friend, Trevelyan. And now he's your enemy and you will kill him. It is that simple.
In a word, yes.
Unless he kills you first.
Natalia.
You think I'm impressed? All of you with your guns, your killing, your death, for what? So you can be a hero? All the heroes I know are dead.
Natalia, listen to me.
How can you act like this? How can you be so cold?
It's what keeps me alive.
No. It's what keeps you, though.
how you're feeling tonight. I mean, it must be quite nerve-wracking to be bringing Bond back to his hometown.
It's nerve-wracking, it's exhilarating, it's like nothing I've ever done before. I mean, but it's a great celebration. I mean, this outside here is like nothing I've ever seen before.
Are you shocked by the hysteria, or were you expecting it?
Well, no. There is always a shock factor when you get out of the car and there's like, 3,000 people standing there, or what appears to be 3,000 people, but it's a great celebration. I'm here with my family and friends. So the movie, everybody put in 120 and more % into this movie, so it's a good film. I'm very proud of it.
What are you going to be drinking at the party?
Anything that's wet and liquid, I don't know. Some champagne, I guess. I haven't thought about that. It's step by step.
A man after my own heart. Have a good night.
I will
Thank
indeed.
you very, very
See you
much.
again.
See you later. So are you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
A big welcome from the crowd for His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and the Right Honourable Angus Ogilvy as they arrive at the Odeon. They're greeted by Bill Weir, the general manager of the theatre. He's now presented to John Jarvis, chairman of the Prince's Trust. And as they approach the upper foyer, they'll be meeting the cast. But first of all, the executives of the companies who made the movie. There's His Royal Highness meeting Barbara Broccoli, the daughter of Cabby and one of the producers of the movie. And of course, Martin Campbell, the director of Goldeneye. And there's Desmond Llewellyn, the oldest surviving member of the cast. I bet they've met before. Well, they daren't replace Q, dare they? Gottfried John, a German classical actor who plays General Ormanov. And the new M, Dame Judi Dench, currently in a little night music at the National Theatre. Alan Cumming, the self-professed Bond boy who plays a computer expert. And the first of the Bond girls, the villainous Famke Janssen, looking quite stunning tonight. Hers is a very spirited part. Bond's girl in the movie and another computer expert, Isabella Scorupco. She's gone back to her natural blonde. She's a brunette in the film. Who else but Tina Turner, who supplies the title song. She was very excited to be working with the U2 boys who actually wrote the theme song. And of course, 007 himself, Pierce Brosnan. And that's Sean Brosnan, Pierce's son, who presents the souvenir brochure to His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales.
Well, that's the end of the royal presentation. The convention is that we don't eavesdrop on what they're saying, but you could always get someone who lip reads to fill you in. 007 and the rest of the cast will be heading to a party afterwards at the Imperial War Museum. And I thought I might drop in, but with the traffic as bad as it is, what's the best way to get there? By tank, perhaps?
Down the alley.
The Imperial War Museum as you've never seen it before. And inside, at the Goldeneye premiere party, the champagne is flowing. So guess where I'm headed?
The tank chase was the best bit, I think. You could do with one of those around town, couldn't you? Very exciting.
I like the bits the girls in, basically. You know, the more of the girl in, the better.
I always thought that Pierce Brosnan would do a very good Bond, and he did. And of course, Isabella is probably the most beautiful Bond girl ever, despite her woolly sweater.
It was pretty good, I thought, for a low-budget effort. I thought Pierce Brosnan was probably, of all the Bonds, almost certainly the sixth.
Just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the stunt work and the new James Bond, what can you say? Just fantastic.
This is the first time I've seen it this evening, and I enjoyed it enormously. Once I got used to my scenes, and once that had passed, which are very quick, then I sat back and really enjoyed myself.
I'm very pleased with what Jude did as M. I think it's a cracking performance and a bloody marvellous film.
Well, like some great ship, the 17th Bond movie is well and truly launched, and it's cause for celebration for British movies. It's already opened spectacularly in America, and after tonight's reception, 007 looks licensed to thrill around the world. Good night.
30 seconds.
Is that in Russia, Germany, Paris, London, Madrid?
25 seconds.
New York, Toronto, Chicago, San Francisco.
20 seconds.
Mexico City, Rio, Miami.
Come on!
Wait! He's in Cuba. Havana. No.
No!